define the theory of relativity as if you do something that you love for an hour, it seems like 5 minutes. And if you do something that doesn't resonate with your spirit, 5 minutes feels like an hour. Why is that? I'm not done, sorry. Why is that? When you do something that you love, your senses are operating at their peak. You're present at the moment. You are resonating with the excitement of the thing that you're experiencing. That is when you are fully alive. The monotonous tutorial method suppresses this feeling and shuts down our senses. It deadens us to what is happening. Simon Breakspeare correctly said that every institution in the world is reforming at the moment. They are making little incremental changes here or there. But what we are actually doing is that we are fixing a broken model. We don't need that. We don't need evolution in education. We need a revolution in education. A system that stresses on creativity and divergent thinking. Divergent thinking itself branches out into different parameters. It is the ability to answer a question differently. It is the ability to interpret a question differently. Think of multiple answers, not one. How many of you can think of more than 10 examples of a paperclip? Well, most of us can think of about 5 or 10. People who are good at it can think of 200. There was a research done on divergent thinking and 1,500 kindergarten students were assessed. The protocol of the test was if a child scored above a particular level, he was considered a genius in divergent thinking. 98% of them could score above that level. 5 years down the line, that particular batch of students, those particular students were again assessed. The percentage was then 50%. 7 years after, they were again assessed. And finally, the percentile came down to 35%. So we draw 2 things from this. That one, we all have this ability. Secondly, it mostly deteriorates. Sir Ken Robinson once quoted that creativity is as important as literacy, and we should treat it with the same respect. Schools squander this talent pretty ruthlessly. There is not a single institution in this world that teaches arts in any form the way they teach maths and science. Picasso once said that we are all born artists. The art is to remain an artist as we grow up. A couple of weeks back, our school organized a collaboration project in which we had to make a site on human genetics and evolution. And frankly, I don't like bio. It's not that the teacher is not good, it's just that the subject doesn't hold my interest. Weeks after the project was done, we were graded, and ironically, we were selected among the top 7 groups. After the project, a week after the project, we had a formative examinations. And in that, we were having genetics and evolution as in evolution in bio. And I think that was the first time that I scored good marks in bio. So my point here is that collaboration is the stuff of growth. Most of the learning happens in growth. I believe that our formative years should be a quest to find our true talent, find what excites us, find what feeds our energy and our passion. We need a schooling system in which a child gets sad when the bell rings after the last period. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yes, I can, but children, can you hear? No, a little louder. 1 minute. We'll just fix the audio. Just a minute. We're just shifting machines. Just a minute.
Now, can Can you hear me well
Yes,
now?
yes, much better. So if you could
Good.
share your thoughts again.
Your ideas blew me away. Thank you so much for the work you have done putting into those. I could see. Friends in a TED conference and tell them to get the Podar school students and not Kevin Robinson.
Yeah. He said, Podar students at TED. That's what I want to hear.
I think we will turn off the video so we get a clear audio so I can speak with you. Okay, how is that? Can you hear me more clearly?
Yes.
So, I could see some amazing connections between the ideas that you shared. I loved how our first speaker really put the emphasis that happiness can only come from our own actions. I thought this connected very well with the idea of revolution in education. That indeed a great education allows us to use our passions and our talents in a way that enthuses us and engages us. And I could see that in doing that, indeed we would have true natural happiness and not synthetic happiness. Our third speaker, who spoke about creativity and the connection between imagination and logic, I thought gave some incredible insights. In particular, I thought that during this education revolution, as we seek natural happiness through our own actions, she made the case that we must expose ourselves to new ideas, be open to new opportunities, and like Leonardo da Vinci or others in Florence in that time, realize that innovation comes from the intersection of ideas. And it's only in the many perspectives and the different disciplines and different people coming together that we have the true breakthroughs. Lastly, I felt that the real argument for parents being involved gave an incredible richness to the idea of education at Podar schools. I could see that indeed, as the multiple perspectives came from outside the school, inside, those parents with all different backgrounds, they would come and in many ways be the source of new ideas and exposure for innovation. They would be the source of new ways of helping to run schools. And indeed, together as a learning community, we can all seek to move through the ups and downs of life that was so clear in the poem, and seek true natural happiness by using our talents. So thank you so much for sharing those 5 incredible ideas, and I do hope that Inception becomes a yearly event to ensure that these great ideas are shared with the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. We're very, very encouraged, and we'll have a few questions from some of the students.
Okay.
There's Saloni here with a question. Saloni? Saloni, come fast here. You can use the mic.
Sorry, could you ask that again? I did not hear it.
So I wanted to ask you that you were in medical initially, right? So when did you realize your calling was different?
So when I originally left school, I did very well at the old school of the Industrial Revolution. I was very good at taking tests. And so I was able to move in and study medicine in Australia. But after 1 year, I realized that perhaps whilst I could do this course, it wasn't my passion, that it perhaps was the passion of my parents for me to do well and to be a doctor. But I thought my passion was in something else, and in education. So it was after 1 year that I made the decision to change and to pursue being an educator.
Thank you, sir. So, I guess that's what we all keep talking about. Passion is the key to success. We have our next question coming from Tejaswita. Tejaswita, yeah, what's your question? Come fast.
Sir, this is about collaboration. How do we trust people we don't even know?
Great question. At the heart of great collaboration are relationships. So sometimes when we talk about collaborating, it's better to come and just use simple terms like human relationships. I think the first thing to do is you need to offer trust. Trust is something that takes a long time to build, but we must first offer the opportunity to trust others. So what I call it is offering smart trust. So it's not that we blindly trust anyone who asks to work with us. But smart trust says, if this person seems authentic and credible and is genuinely interested in working with me, then my first position, my stance, is always to trust you first. And I will trust you up until the point that it seems you are no longer trustworthy. But we must make ourselves open. And that means sometimes taking a risk.
Yeah, next we have Sakshina Bhatt, who has a question here.
Mr. Simon, I just want to know, what pathway does one have to opt for to become a Gates Scholar?
The Gates Scholarship only runs at Cambridge University for people doing postgraduate work. So doing their master's degree or their PhD degree. So the pathway normally is to go to a good university in your country or elsewhere, and then at the end of your undergraduate education, you need to apply to the University of Cambridge and also to the Gates Scholarship specifically. Now, the Gates Scholarship looks for a number of attributes in people that they award the scholarship to. Obviously, one of the ones is to do well academically. But this is only one smaller level, and this is very important to emphasize considering what one of our colleagues has shared about an education revolution today. Because what Gates is looking for is not just someone who scores well and does what is expected of them, but they look for leadership, community service, and a track record of impacting in your community. And I would like to open it beyond a Gates Scholarship, because in all the places that I travel, and when I talk to people who work in very, very good firms, or who win scholarships, they are always looking for the same things. A strong academic background, but real leadership to improving the lives of others, and a track record of doing things. So I have started non-profit organizations. I have written a book. I have traveled broadly to understand other cultures. And I would encourage all of you to think beyond a very narrow view of learning and education and think broadly about your passions and how you can lead. Because if you do those things, people will notice, whether it be the Gates Scholarship Committee or another committee or an employer, you will improve. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. We have another question from Amar.
Mr. Simon, my question to you would be that we are talking a lot about soft skills like leadership and working in a team. How do you suggest these things be taught in school? Can they be actually taught in school in the way science and maths are taught? Do you think these subjects can be put up in school as subjects as we have a leadership class, we have a teamwork class? How do you think can we bring up these topics in school?
Thank you for your question. So, when we're trying to learn anything, we have to ask ourselves, what is the path to learning this skill? So, if I wanted to learn how to do maths, obviously I have some base knowledge I need to learn. And actually being in a classroom is quite an effective way to learn mathematics. But if I wanted to learn how to cook, and I would recommend everyone, yes, even the males, learning how to cook, your future wives will be very happy with you. If you've learned how to cook, you cannot learn how to cook just by watching someone else. You must do it. You must be in the kitchen, in the mess of it all, learning by doing. And so with all these skills, we have to ask ourselves, what type of skill is this? Is it a skill that I can learn by sitting and listening in a classroom? Or is this a skill I can only learn by doing? And I think